Well, Kane, you've seen the wicket out there. What's your initial take on everything you've observed and looking ahead to this all-important first game?
Yeah, I haven't actually seen the wicket just yet. I've come off the bus and just come straight here. But had a little look yesterday, and obviously a bit of a green tinge, but maybe with a bit of warm weather this arvo, potentially it may change a little bit. So we haven't practiced yet, so I'll have a little look when we go out for warm-ups.
How is your preparation different from 2015? How do the campaigns compare?
Yeah, naturally a little bit different, just being different seasons, I suppose, where the last campaign we were playing a lot of cricket in our home summer, I guess in some ways preparing for the World Cup, which was also at home. So being over in this part of the world, heading into winter at home, meant that it was a little bit different. We had IPL guys who were playing cricket in different parts, which was a good thing. So we were able to make sure we were getting cricket in. There was some cricket in Australia. So everybody was playing, which was nice. And I guess the difference between playing months together and then going into World Cup versus perhaps not, and guys being quite excited to get back together as a group is still a positive thing.
Have you settled on your team yet, and if you have, would you tell us?
we haven't settled on it just yet. We need to get through training today, a couple of minor niggles that want to be, I guess, monitored before tomorrow. So, yeah, we can't yet settle on that side.
South Africa opened up with a spinner in the game yesterday. Would you contemplate doing the same?
Yeah, I guess you've got your 5 or 6 bowlers and they're all options. So I think it's just important to address the surface, the opposition, and try and come up with the best plan. And it was great for South Africa that came off, I guess. But yeah, I have no doubt that throughout this tournament, as conditions perhaps change, you're playing at a number of different venues, that we'll see a number of different tactics from all sides.
Ken, you've played Sri Lanka earlier this year and you all beat them 3-0, and Sri Lanka have been going through a very rough patch in the ODI scene. So how do you take this current team with the new captain, several changes, and how do you look into the Sri Lanka strengths and weaknesses?
Yeah, I don't know how much the past really counts for as we come into a tournament. It is on the day, and we know in this competition that every team can beat any of the other teams. So we're certainly treating all of our matches like that, and we want to bring the focus for us back to the cricket that we want to play day in, day out. And naturally, when you go through the tournament, you play one country, you might have 2 or 3 days, you play another country on another surface, and you're trying to, I guess, stay up to date with the different I suppose plans that you're adjusting with the different opposition. But our focus is much about the cricket that we want to play. We know that the Sri Lankan side's a little bit different to the one we played at home, but we have no doubt they're a tough side.
Kane, I see you batted first every time against Sri Lanka over summer. Is that something you'd look to continue to do if you win the toss tomorrow?
Like I say, I need to go and have a closer look at the surface and obviously have a look again tomorrow before making a decision on the toss. Winning the toss is also another part to that. So we'll just have to see what happens tomorrow.
In terms of injuries, how are Latham and Munro, and are there any other players with injuries as well?
Yeah, so fairly exciting for Tom, where he's progressed nicely and will be available tomorrow, which is great news, and he's very much looking forward to that. Yeah, Munro's fine with his niggle, and Tim Southey and Henry Nichols have some minor niggles as well, so that's why we can't quite name our team today.
Hi, can you see me? Kane, a little over 4 years ago, somewhat similar conditions, Hagley Park. You opened the first match against against Sri Lanka, and here you are again playing Sri Lanka. The catchphrase then was something along the lines of the time of our lives. What's the thought process right now, and do you have a team catchphrase right now?
Maybe the time of our lives came out after the tournament, perhaps, as it progressed.
Before the final, to be
but
honest,
it was,
yeah.
and it was a lot of fun, and we really enjoyed that tournament. I guess we come to now, and so many things are different and have changed, and there's different personnel on both sides. I guess it's coincidence that we're playing each other again in our first matches, but yeah, the focus is very much on our team, the sort of cricket that we want to be playing, the attitudes we want to be taking into the first match, and that's where we'll place our importance.
Kane, in this tournament coming into it, very few people are talking about New Zealanders as the outsiders, which they always do. You know, it's always given an outside chance. Are you just happy to be under the radar there? You know, everyone's talking about West Indies and all the other big sides, the favourites, then the dark horses, but no one's talking about New Zealand that much. Are you okay with it?
Yeah, it's okay. I don't really know. Some people might be saying something about us. I'm not sure. We're talking about us. But no, we're just excited to get involved. Look, we know that there are sides ranked higher and are favourites in these conditions. But once again, it's about us playing the sort of cricket that we want to be playing and showing those sort of attributes, characteristics that are really important to us as a side to try and be a competitive side day in, day out, and when we are that, we know that we can beat anybody.
The style of cricket you want to play, is that in keeping with the style we're seeing from the sides that use the top 5 to really go at attacks, and are you prepared for that kind of attack, and are you prepared to take the opposition on the same way?
Yeah, I think some of the styles that we've seen from other sides are very much suited to them, suited to the conditions on those days. And I think there's been a lot of talk about really high scores, but I think there'll be a number of games where that isn't the case, and it'll require adjustment. And I guess for us at the last World Cup, there was I suppose a trend in how we played, but it was about being smart with the crop that we had to try and get the best performance that we could get, and it meant that we were aggressive in how we operated. The ball swung. We looked to utilise that as well as we could. We're yet to know, I guess, how things will shape in this tournament. So for us, our cricket that we want to play, I guess we reflect back over the last sort of few years or so as a group that we've been growing together, and it has been about adjusting to conditions and opposition to try and move the team forward. So whether it's guys having to push a bit harder on a particular surface on a given day, then that may be what's required, but equally it may not be the case, and it's about guys adjusting to perhaps what one-day cricket used to look a little bit more like, where the scores are a little bit lower and there was much more of that scrappy type mentality. So there won't be one way to play, but I guess it's just being smart with how we look to operate, and for us as a team that's important.
So that was largely my question, but I mean, from the practice games, did you pick up anything that sort of surprised you, or that might have changed the way you were thinking before you arrived here?
It's hard to take too much from warm-up games. Teams are pretty much looking to give people roles as much as they can in build-up. You know, often sides are playing maybe 8-9 batters, and the balance of sides obviously aren't what you're going to be expecting in the games. But look, I mean, we do know here on some grounds that are smaller, that do have flat surfaces, there perhaps will be some much higher scoring. We saw that at Bristol. We also saw it at the Oval on a wicket that did a little bit. It was quite a different situation. So in some ways we know that not every game is going to be a 350 score, and we saw that in two warm-up games that we played. One wasn't. And I think that's important to be made aware of as we go throughout this tournament, because I guess it's easy to get ahead of yourself and go, this is what we're going to need to do versus what do we need to do now in this current situation to give us the best chance, and that's out in the middle.
Thank you very much, Willie. You mentioned Southey there having a bit of a niggle, and you also mentioned Henry, and Trent Boult had half a training yesterday. Should we read anything into that? And is the bowling team okay?
Yep, no, they're just fairly minor niggles, so it is important we get through training today. We haven't practiced yet, moving on to tomorrow before we make our final decisions. As we know, it is a long tournament, so there are a number of parts to those decisions, but they're relatively minor. Trent, yeah, he's good. Trent's good. Sorry, I forgot about Trent.
Cool. All right, thanks very much.
Cheers.